Hello. So, today I'm going to tell you a story, and this is going to be a video, an introduction rather. It's going to be up for the entire month of January, so I do think this is very important, and it's something that happened today. So, today I was out at about 4 or 5 p.m. This is on, what day is it? And by the way, this quality is like insanely good for like this section of the video, is because it's on my main phone in 4K quality, so yeah, that if it's really good. I don't know if it will be, but if it is, it's in 4K 60 FPS. It's January 6th. And today, just going to be a little bit thing here. Again, for the entire month, this will be up as the main thing, as every introduction to every video, just for the month. I went out, and it went out about like 4 or 5 p.m., something like that, right? I went near, if you guys know New York, I went near, I guess you call it, I guess it was right around the area of the World Trade Center. I was there. I just kind of go in that area often. I go get food. I go get whatever the fuck, right? I go do whatever the hell I'm doing. And prior to it, I was like a block away, and then someone stopped me. In New York, if you don't know in New York, there's a lot of people that try to scam you, try to get like money from you, literally try to like rob you in front of your eyes, like type of shit. So someone stopped me. I wasn't, in particularly like the greatest mood. I just woke up. I was just like, all right, whatever. I just want to go get my food and just vibe and just chill and do my thing, then go home and then blah, 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 right? But someone stopped me and I indulged, and they asked me a question, and this is just the lead up to the story, but the whole thing is obviously important. The end, more important than anything else, though, and description, but I'll point to that, what's a state that ends in K? And they asked me that. I was like, I don't fucking know. Again, I'm a moron. I didn't know. It's New York. I was like, oh, well, he fucking got me, right? He got me hooked. I was like, all right, well, you got me interested. You caught me on this dumbass question that I clearly knew the answer, but I'm just a moron today. What's up? Then he told me about what he does, and he spreads, it's more, I can't really explain it well because I'm not very good at explaining things that I'm not fully knowledgeable of, but the premise is autism awareness and spreading a situation to raise money for it, right? He told me something about that they try to build out pools, that they're trying to pay for that. Something with getting iPads and computers. I'm sorry, I don't remember everything in detail. It's been a couple hours later, if you are watching this. But along these lines of just things that would help people that clearly need it. And with it being a new year, and I think of this premise that made me just even record this, of everyone's trying to help themselves and better themselves. Well, what if there's people that can't do that? What if there's people that physically cannot, emotionally cannot, mentally cannot be a situation where they can do that? And that's where I feel like everyone could help if they'd like to. What I did, he asked me if I'd like to do a donation. What I offered him was, hey, I'll donate. I'm going to, obviously. I'm not going to just say no to that. That's not something I would personally do. I think it's worthy of a cause. I think it's a legitimate cause. It is a legitimate cause because it's, all the websites that went over this stuff, obviously. So I donated. $50. That's the first thing I found in my wallet. I was like, all right, here you go. All right, we move on. Then I offered, hey, why don't I just promote this as well? Would you mind that? And he was like, oh, yeah, sure, why not? What do you want to promote? And then he looked up my YouTube. I told him my YouTube. Then we, actually, kind of funny part of the story is he actually plays Legends. I didn't know that, but he does. He does play Legends. He showed my account. I showed his account. I added him, actually. Got his, credential information for the foundation he works for as well. So, nice guy. Very nice. And I just want to say, if you guys do have the opportunity to donate to this cause of autism awareness / helping people with autism who cannot help themselves and better themselves in situations where they are in a bad situation, the first link in the description for this entire month will be a link to donate. Again, how I donate was just giving out cash. If they are in your area, I'm sure they're all over. It's a big organization. If they're in your area, feel free to go donate. Obviously, you don't have to hear me tell you that to do it, but yeah, I do feel that it's important to help other people if you are given the opportunity to. Thankfully, this guy did, more catch my attention than not, because in New York, you're really just trying to ignore everybody. But this guy caught my attention, got me, and, I'm happy that he did. I'm happy that we are in the situation where I'm discussing this right now. So if you guys do want to donate, feel free to, down below in the description, click that link. It's always going to be the first link of every single video. If it's not, I will make it that. I will always make it that for this entire month, maybe even further past that, for at least for this entire month. Feel free to donate to that cause and foundation if you would so please. And yeah, enjoy the video, and I won't do my outro, so enjoy the video. All right. Alright, so in this one, we are going to be discussing how can they fix the Zenkais. Now you might say, what's wrong with Zenkais? You know, some of them are great, some of them are even top tier, some of them are top, 10 even. And that's awesome, that's great. I'm not really referring to the LF Zenkais of like Forku or Rose sometimes, or, FSK in his prime and all these things. I'm referring to these more broadened 1% Zenkais, if not just every Zenkai that's non-LF. You look at Bergamo, where his positioning right now is a very quirky one. He's not better than MUI, which MUI is already irrelevant to a degree, because you're not really running this guy, because it just doesn't flow on a team synergy. But yet he's not also being a buffer to anybody that exists right now, yet he might be helped in the future. He just doesn't really have a place, and he's himself not good enough to exist. You look at even others along these categories, and it's just like 1% Zenkais, they should have more value, and I think their value right now is okay. It's just that it could be higher, because you look at it like this, right? How 1% Zenkai is right now is meant to be a sub option. You look at I don't know, let me give an example. I guess Bergamo's a good example, right? Bergamo is meant to be a sub option to MUI. If he was Zenkai buffing uni reps, it would be more, seen, but he'd be a sub option for them. Or the full power Super Saiyan 4 Goku meant to be a sub option for the LF4s and Zenkai buff them. That's fine, but if they're gonna do that methodology to this, look, you look at the 4s and you're like, okay, top 5 unit, right? Then you look at this Green Super Saiyan 4 Goku. He's meant to be that secondary. He's that secondary unit you would run in replacement if you don't own the 4s. And his value, I mean, it's okay. It's usable, but like, is anything really good enough to be run from him? Like, are you actually going to run this guy in PvP? No. So there's a few ideas I'd have to fix 1% Zenkais here, or just Zenkais in general, but more 1% Zenkais. And hopefully this concept would stick. Hopefully the premise would land and one day even be implemented. Or just my thoughts and, well, it all goes in the wind. So, my first idea for 1% Zenkais is make them more consistent. Happen more. Yes, you might say, we get a Zenkai every 2 weeks. That's 2 Zenkais a month. That's a lot of fucking Zenkais. I agree. The thing is, where I'm going with this, is that if you have more 1% Zenkais, you have more units showing up on banners. So you have, instead of 2 every month, we get 3 every month. And then from there, LF banners are forced to have more 1% units. You look at the current LF banner, and how it is right now is having no 1% unit, right? You only have EX18, you have the LF, and then boom, you're done. If you were to amplify the amount of Zenkais, one, that would give better bench options to units that don't really have it, because even today, there's still LFs today, there's still Ultras, look at Ultra Super Vegito. There is, how many Zenkais in this game? There's 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36, 40, 44, 48, 52, 56, probably like around, there's more, like there's probably like 70, 80, 90 Zenkais in this game to this day, yet an Ultra, the highest like rarity of character, doesn't have a proper Zenkai buffer that goes with his entire team synergy of like bench, because Super Saiyan 4 Goku isn't really Z-buffing his entire team, Mr. Ultra Super Vegito. He's barely even Z-buffing Ultra Super Vegito, we have the leader Ultra Super Vegito. So it's just like, we already had the dilemma where not every unit that's meant to have the Zenkai buffer as their secondary gainer or secondary option is already existent and pre-existent, so you kind of amp the amount of Zenkais that are dropping. Maybe make their kits fine, equivalent to what's currently being thrown out there with like Green Super Saiyan 4 Goku, with Green Transform Future Gohan, with, I mean, a little bit better than Bergamo, but like Bergamo, right? Have their kits be in a category of that, but drop more, and that would make more 1% units spawn. And I know they're probably like really hesitant on making more 1% units off big celebrations. We've only seen it on big celebrations. The most recent thing where we did have a big celebration 1% unit was Battle Hour with Jiren, I believe it was last year, like next month last year, and obviously Beerus was on that banner, and that's technically a celebration. Like, they hype the shit out of Battle Hour, right? Like, that's a thing they always talk about. They're like, Battle Hour, Battle Hour, because it's like all the games, like, you know, fucking mixing and matching going on the fucking whole show they do. Why not just go back to the format of 1% every month? I mean, bang for your buck wise, that's a good business model, and even more so than that, more Zenkais equals more money. People are willing to pay for Zenkais that are actually going to be good enough to be run. If you were to Zenkai, I don't know, let's say they don't even give a fuck about an order, because honestly, they probably don't. Let's say you were to Zenkai Red Revival Cell, and then that next week, you Zenkai, you know what, let me just go through the tags here. No, you know what, Red Revival Cell gets a Zenkai, then Game of 1 gets a Zenkai. Okay, well, Android's got a big buff, right? So he's got Android LF, 17, you have the LF droids who gained value, you have the purple GT17 who has value, you have Red Rival Cell, Zenkai buffing the LF droids, if not being a sub option, because he's not the worst thing in the world. You also have color advantage, because you can maintain with the androids being their tag out mechanic, so you can run double reds, you can run double reds blue, you also get Game of 1 Zenkai, which helps you a lot, because Game of 1 can, I believe, do very good blast damage, very good critical based stuff. And while not being the ideal color, greens do need help anyways, so just amping the amount of Zenkais, having a red-red-green setup, having a green-blue-red setup that you could run, different amounts of situations that you could run, because maybe the androids aren't ideal against this setup that you're going to face off against, with it being, I don't fucking know, let's say you run into Beast and Forku together. It's like, okay, well, the androids kind of need some help to retain this. Maybe you bring double reds, because you bring 18 of the droids. Okay, boom, she can deal with the Beast. And then, again, this is Copium, but, like, this is an example, right? And, or you have, I guess, 17, it doesn't matter. You have 17 dealing with Forku, right? And then you have Game of 1 that could deal with Beast. You kind of have just, like, alternate, ulterior interactions that can be complacent for you, and it gives more team diversity, because they do strive for this. You can see the units that are good right now are pretty diverse. You have some USS, you have some hybrids, you have some movies, you have some fusions, you have pretty diverse amount of units. It's not just like it's 10 Saiyans or it's 9 hybrids and 1 Saiyan. Like, it's not just one culmination of groupings of characters. It's a pretty vast amount, and you know, good shit on that, Legend, great fucking job. But you can make that even more vast if Zenkai just got amped. I mean, you would drop more 1%, that would amp the amount of Zenkais that would happen, because you have the 1% to back up all these backlog Zenkais you're pre-planning. And some units, quite frankly, should not have deserved their aging process to be as shitty as it was. Look at Mr. Piscolo here. He will never be run. Look at, I mean, Tapion maybe has a little bit more value. He's not really that much more valuable, but he has a little bit more value. Tapion went from this top 10, I don't even know what he was. He was considered like top 5 probably on release, on boost, and it's like, it's not even been over half a year, and dude's dead. Like, you're probably not running Tapion. Piccolo dropped less than half a year ago, and yet dude's been dead. Like, you don't even see him discussed in 15, in 20, in 25, and 30. One, because he's bugged, and two, just his value, it's like Purple Vegito Blue. I knew he'd age like this. This guy fucking aged like trash, because he just has Purple Vegito Blue written all over him, even though he has more burst and it's like more potential. It's just, it's like if you don't run it with Beast, it doesn't exist, because all the greens you want to spawn for Beast and blah 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 blah, it just doesn't exist, right? He's just being blast based as well, being a problem is also a situation for him. But if you amp the amount of Zenkais that happen, this actually kind of not fixes things. Nothing really fixes the problems Legends has created with, like, you know, Ultra Gogeta Blue, with all these neutrality units. But it does at least give a easier and more accessible resolve. Because if I have, you know, 4 green units that can try to beat Beast Gohan's ass, because they're all good Zenkais at this point. Game of 1, if he Zenkai'd, he'd be pretty good. If Revival Soul got Zenkai, he'd be okay. Droids would be better, but he'd be okay. Having these alternate options for people that can't have everything is something you need. I mean, this is a gacha, I understand that, but, like, you gotta cater toward your other audience a little bit. Like, I'm not gonna say you gotta, like, focus fire everything of your, you know, free-to-play audience, or, like, your lower spender audience as a business, because, you know, as a business, you don't want to do that. But, to an extent, you gotta just pander. Like, you literally have to pander a little bit. And, having a Zenkai of, like, okay, Rose, who's been on a million banners, be subpar to, like, LF Forku's, is kind of just like a slap in the face. Because Forku, compare it. Like, how many times he's been on banners, how desirable he's been over the months and years. Not really. Not really much, right? On fucking release, he was shit. Rose was better on release than Forku on release. Like, it was really bad. But yet, Forku got, like, the 50 times longer end of the stick, where he just got all the fucking gas that he needed and became core and great and phenomenal for his teams. And Rose got, hey, here's a purple god unit that you can just leader slot anywhere, and then Rose, get fucked, you are never being run again. And it's like, that shouldn't be the existent situation for it. So my one solution would be amp the amount of new units. I know that's very common sense, but by amping new units, you amp the amount of Zenkais that would happen because you have the backlog fulfilled, and you don't have to think about, I mean, you can't literally run out of Sparkings. Are you fucking kidding me? But, like, you can't think about running out if you're always having 1% to fulfill that gap. I mean, look at this. This is all Sparkings, bro. Like, they are nowhere close to being like, oh my god, we are too far deep into Zenkais. We gotta, like, hold back now. They can't. And then the other thing I would introduce is actually Zenkai 14. Now, I've mentioned this, and I said this, and I thought the concept is very wonky. I think it's very unique, and I don't know if it's really great. I just think the concept is there. I don't know what else they could do to really fix Zenkais that are trash. And maybe you might say, look, they're already Zenkai, they're already trash. Well, shit happens. What are you gonna do? You know, not every unit's gonna age like Amazing God. Not every unit's meant to age like Amazing God. And I agree with that. Let's say you were to Zenkai this Red Super Saiyan OG Goku. Am I expecting him to be an aging god and be like this king of PvP? No. Was I ever? No. Am I expecting him to be somewhat competent? Yeah. What I'd want from a unit, not to be top 10 for 10 months straight. I don't need to see a puddle or a USG from a Zenkai. I don't need that. What I want is like, hey, this Goku went from unusable to like top 50? Top 40? Nothing crazy. Nothing like god tier. Doesn't have to be any discussion of like, yup, I'm going to use this unit every match of PvP. No, but if it's something at least competent enough to run, I feel like that'd be something at least good here. And the only way you could do this for Zenkais that are pre-existent, and or for Zenkais that be post-existent that are going to be trash on their initial release, because eventually they got to do some trash units, right? Kind of like the original Zenkais we have now. Zenkai 14 is the only method. What I would want to add to Zenkai 14 would be, obviously, a stat increase once again, a stat jump. Let's say this Goku here, it's a good example, he's the first Zenkai anyways. Let's say, for him, if you were to get a Zenkai 14, what I'd want, 280k strike, 320k blast, and then 190 defenses. I know, this sounds like crazy numbers. It is. The premise is, nothing of his uniques that he already owns would change. He would get one additional unique. That's what Zenkai 14 would be. To me, at least. He would get one additional unique, he'd get a giga stat increase, and then from there, you kind of just throw your hands in the air. Hopefully it fucking sticks. If it doesn't, well, that's tough. If it does, great. Again, not every unit is meant to be this, oh, I can use them every match in PvP. Oh, I can use them in some competent setting. Like, Red Vegito is a great example of this, where this guy came out, he's been slandered, honestly, and he's really not the worst thing in the world. He does his job of locking in. Is he great every single situation against, like, double blues with, like, Zamasu and fucking 17? Obviously not. You know, you're not going to bring Red Vegito against that, where he's going to try to lock in 2 endurance units and kind of just hope for the best. It's really not worth it. But in certain situations, he can't do his job better than not, and from there, you kind of have some value. I would hope the same for this Goku if you got a Zenkai 14, because what his value is meant, it's really hard to understand, but like it's meant to be, is he does more to LOE. So what you'd want is this niche spot. If the Zenkais can't be good in an individual-based setting, okay, this Goku Zenkai's when a new Ultra Summable Super Saiyan Goku drops, and then an LF first form to every form of Frieza up till final drops. And then this guy gets a Zenkai 14. He does, on his 5th unique, instead of doing this 80% with 2 allies are defeated, that stays. But on his 5th unique, he gets 300% to 2 characters that are final form Frieza, if not even the exclusive, only that new LF Frieza. You see what I mean? You give them at least a niche spot somewhere to be run, and make that LF that he would drop alongside of his Zenkai 14 be something that's at least, well, competent. Make that LF as good as this 17, make that LF as good as the 4s, make that LF as good as Beast. Whatever you have to do, just make them as competent as they need to be, so they're run consistently, so this guy could get value. See what I mean? Where Zenkai 14 could be the niche spot of like, oh shit, he doesn't have to be advantage. Just have this guy still be, you know, let Frieza be green, let this guy be red. Okay, great. Colors, doesn't matter. Let them just not be advantage or disadvantage to one another. But at least this niche spot for this niche little season, niche little 2 seasons, however long that Frieza would last in the meta, you give this unit some value. Let his value die. Again, not every unit's meant to have this great value forever aging. But if you gave this Goku value for like a month or 2, I would say people would probably be happy with that. They wouldn't feel forced to Zenkai him, because it's like, okay, well, yeah, he does more to LOE, but, you know, he's struggling on this on Z ability, he's struggling on this on teams, struggling on this on equips. He's struggling a lot. He's still going to be struggling. But it gives you an opportunity, if you don't own a better unit to counter out the Frieza, like an anti-LOE unit. If you want to run an anti-LOE, you at least have a free alternative that everyone could get. The simplest way to do it would be to do that. Have them be a niche spot that could be good for those specific months that they get their newest Zenkai, because that's when people care about them. When unit gets a Zenkai 14, that's when you care about them. You wouldn't care about Z7 FSK 8 months down the line. You care about them on his initial release, right? During their specific incremental Zenkais that they would get to 14, that is when you would give them their biggest value. So again, let's say like this Scouter Vegeta, doesn't he do extra damage to somebody? Or you would introduce that yourself. Okay, extra damage to Sun Family, perfect. You introduce Super Saiyan, not Super Saiyan, X3 Kaioken Goku from this Vegeta fight, and you make him blue. This Vegeta does extra blast damage, but that Goku has blast armor. You make this Vegeta have anti-armor blast damage against Sun Family, against that Goku, against Goku that are blues, etc. You see how there's actually a way to make these units kind of somewhat useful? Because then you give them this giga stat increase of 340 blast, 195 strike defense, 198 strike or blast defense, a 280 strike attack. You get these giga numbers where you don't change any uniques because their uniques are going to stay shit. That's fine. Give them the giga numbers where they're good for those niche seasons, and then bada bing, bada boom, you actually have value with Zenkais that you would never have value for in the past. This Vegeta is not even a bench unit at this point because he has a single Z ability buffer and he's doing blast tech. You could give these units value. There's a way. Again, you just introduce more Zenkais. From there, you introduce Zenkai 14 to units that are this down bad for it. Again, you could just look at every unit on this page right here, honestly. Maybe, exclude Red Vegito, maybe Super Saiyan 2 Trunks, but like every unit on this page here, from the looks of it, needs like a Zenkai 14 at this rate. And it's like, there's such an easy methodology to this that would actually flow with like ideas of celebrations or seasons, and I don't know. I think what I just kind of mentioned is the greatest way to make any Zenkai that's from the past relevant. And again, you're not trying to make them retain relevancy for 10 months. You're trying to make them retain relevancy for when they actually get their big buff. You know, when a unit gets a big buff, you would think, hey, they go up in value, right? If they were to get a Zenkai 14, you would think, hey, this Super Saiyan Goku, when this Frieza just dropped, what do you know? He does more damage to Frieza. Holy fucking guacamole, right? I think the concept is so plainly there, it doesn't really have any negatives to it from a business standpoint, because you're making a big celebration. When you have a celebration, people get hype. From the hype, people summon, and then from there, people also do these events to get these Zenkais up. If they didn't pull the new unit, or if they did pull the new unit, they maybe want to run them together so they could counter out the new unit because they have the Zenkai done, because they cared about the celebration, because there's hype behind it. There's very easy ways to solve these dilemmas of these characters, and none are being implemented, and it's very lazy what we have right now, because I look at the events and I'm just like, okay, this exists. I have a raid that's always going to happen. I have this returning event. I don't care about. I have this returning event. I don't care about returning. Don't care. Returning. Don't care. Zenkai USTR. Don't care. You have the same repetition. There's easy ways to do this. There's easy ways to just introduce value to characters that haven't had value in years, like good amount of years, and give them value for at least a season or two. Like, you drop this Podza, okay, why not drop next week we get a new free-to-play, I don't know, free-to-play base Kefla comes out. I doubt it, but like, hypothetically, free-to-play base Kefla comes out. Then from there, you have that. Okay, what if we were to Zenkai somebody, or give them a situation where like, this new equipment, or this new event, where this, unit would be more valuable for it, or like this PvP tier boost, this unit would be more valuable for it. But let's just say a Zenkai, stick to the idea of Zenkai, right? Let's say someone here, got a situation where they do more to uni-rep characters, because then the tournament of power, you're all fighting one another, right? It's not like you're fucking at a fucking picnic, you're beating each other's fucking ass. The whole point is your universe doesn't get fucking destroyed because you fucking won. And from there, you would be like, okay, this base Kefla exists. And then she could do extra damage to other fusions. Or she could do extra damage to Godki as she fought UI Omen. But, you know, we just got a Godki kind of buff with Ultra Gogeta Blue. So you kind of have her existing as someone that does extra damage there. You have Bergamo existing to do extra damage here. The system would just roll in a full wheel, and it just go forward because everyone would have this extra damage. Not saying you have to even cater to that, but having the premise of this, like, extra output from a character that's not really overwhelming or very good is something that is the only way. It really is the only way for a Zenkai to have value. If you don't do that, there's really no way. I'm not going to look at fucking Fistku and be like, yep, let me run him right now because he... You see? There's no method. If I'm getting Fistku, though, and I'm like, okay, LF DBZ Broly just dropped, Fistku got a Zenkai 14, and now he does 200% on his strikes to Broly, and then 500% blue card damage against Broly. Again, these arbitrary numbers, they're not real numbers, just fucking example numbers, right? But you have that situation where it's like, oh my god, I actually have a reason to run Fistku? Wow, I'd love to do that. I'd love to use this old-ass unit. I'd love to have some value with him. He might not be better than Beast and, 17 as a blue unit, but his value, it's actually existent because that good DBZ LF Broly that dropped is going to be running around consistently. I got to deal with him somehow. And then you have some value in past Zenkais. This is my ideas, though. What do you guys think? I think this is a way to improve Zenkais. Introduce more 1% as well as more Zenkais so you can amp the amount of Zenkais that happen. Then from there, give niche Zenkais that need the big help of old ones here, like ROF Vegeta, like Khalifa, like these specific characters, specific situations where they do more against XLF because they're fighting against them, they're an opponent to them, they're from a scene near them, etc., and give them value for those 1 or 2 months. Let them die off after. That's fine, but at least have them have innate value. I don't expect every unit to age well. LFs don't age well. Look at VT. They're already on the fucking chopping block for off top 10, and they're still on boost. Look at Cooler. He went off top 10 while he was on boost. I ain't saying these units gotta age like God, but I'm saying if you could give them more value to not be complete fucking fodder and just something I have in my box that looks kind of cute, yeah, that'd be a little helpful. Let me guys think of my ideas of how to improve Zenkais and what Zenkais can be in the future, and I'll see you guys in the next one.